Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dr. V's Motivational Monday, a video series on self-regulation and effective learning strategies, where our goal is to learn how to learn, because after all, learning should be fun. And today we're going to talk about something that can be a real time saver for you in your learning process, and that is how to read long documents. This is something that really trips a lot of students up because the information overload can be very overwhelming. And so today we're going to talk about how your goal is not to read the document fast, but to read the document in a way that increases your comprehension. And we're going to do that by talking about 6 different strategies you can approach these documents with, and then a couple of documents that we're going to break down using these different strategies. The first thing you really need to do is start with a purpose. Before you actually start reading anything, you should ask yourself, why am I reading this? You need to identify, is your goal to grasp the main idea, to find specific information within the document, or to critique the content? These 3 different goals kind of necessitate different approaches to reading, and understanding what your purpose is will allow you to stay motivated and focused during the reading process. The next thing to do is to preview the document. Rather than diving in metaphorically, go ahead and skim. Kind of step into the shallow waters and look for things that will help you later on. This includes headings, subheadings, and summaries. Think about going on a long trip, guys. If you were going to try to go from Oklahoma to California, you would stop, you would look at a map, you would identify what are the turns you're going to take and how are you going to get there. It becomes like a road map. That's the same thing that happens when you preview the document. You get an idea of which sections are going to be included so you can kind of orient yourself to the message that's about to be presented. The third tip is going to be to break the document down. Don't try to read this all in one piece. It can be really overwhelming. There's too much going on. Instead, break this into chunks and read one chunk at a time, and then take a break in your process to make sure you understand what it is that you're reading. What this is going to do is it's actually going to prevent that information overload because you're only reading bite sizes at a time. And that will also allow for long-term retention, where you're going to remember more of it because you've taken time to process. The fourth strategy is going to be to take notes or to annotate. If notes occur in a notebook, annotations occur directly on the document, but your purpose is kind of the same. It's to be actively engaged in the material that you're reading about, to jot down key points and questions and summaries and connections, and to identify how the document is helping you understand the content that you're trying to learn. This can also become a really handy reference for the future when you need to go back and look at something but don't want to reread the entire document again. The fourth strategy is going to be to look up unfamiliar terms. This is really what we call jargon, guys. Industry or career or discipline-specific language that you might not understand on first glance, but don't just look at it and do nothing. Look it up. Take that cell phone you already have sitting next to you and look up those unfamiliar words. I had to do that so many times with words as I was going through my training because I wasn't familiar with what it meant, but every time I looked it up, it allowed me to become more secure in my understanding. The bottom line, guys, if you don't understand what the words are telling you, you don't understand the meaning of the reading, and you're not actually comprehending what you need to. The final strategy is going to be to discuss and reflect on what it is you're reading. If possible, discuss the reading with a peer or a mentor or somebody you know has exposure to the document that you're reading. This is a really great opportunity to explain what you've learned in order to reinforce those insights. But if no one is around that can listen to you, you can always record yourself and then play it back. You can also use an AI tool like Udly to record it and then receive feedback on how clear was your explanation. These 6 different strategies, guys, can be applied to a lot of different documents. For instance, something that a lot of students have to do in higher education is read peer-reviewed research articles. And these are going to be a lot easier to read when you think about them in chunks. You can see that this peer-reviewed article has headings built in for you. You can see the introduction. The next part is what's known as the literature review. You can see what's known as the method, the results, the discussion, and each of these sections has a very different purpose, and understanding that purpose is what allows us to be successful in that reading. But we can also do this with like academic assignments. When you think about breaking down a big assignment, do the same thing. Start by looking for headings. Start by looking for ways to chunk the document into something smaller so that you don't feel so overwhelmed by the detail. Think about it like this, guys. When you get a job one day, you're going to be handed a manual of what you need to know for your occupation. You aren't going to be able to skip reading it, so you need to have strategies to increase your comprehension. This has been another episode of Dr. V's Motivational Monday, a video series meant to help you enjoy learning and find that learning can be fun. If you want to have a say in the future videos, go ahead and scan this QR code. Take care, everybody.